And welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, and today I am joined by my good buddy Clinton Bonner. As Clinton, we are previewing our Seahawks 2025 schedule. One of the dirty little secrets about the schedule, Clinton, we already know who we're playing.
We do know we're playing. We don't know when. We do know where. It's like GPS. GPS, you need like 3 points to tell you exactly where you're at, right? That's how GPS works, as far as I know. So I think we have 2 of them, Brandon, right? So we have maybe 1 of them, whatever. We know what cities we're going to. We know who our opponents are. We just don't know what time and what day yet. Brandon, some people like the season. I like the season. Some people like the draft. I like the draft. And some people really like schedule release. And Brandon put me in that bucket for all 3. I really like schedule release. Living in Connecticut, I get to figure out when I get to see you again, and I get to hang out with Flockers. And hopefully it's one time in Seattle, one time on the road at least. This gets me all the fizz. I'm so excited, dude.
That's the psychological part of the schedule release is, I think, what I'm interested in, because then we can figure out who the planners are in our Seahawks group, because if at least the far out planners, right? The people that are just like, tell me when the games are, I'm going to make the plan that week, whether I go or not. That's all I need to know. See, the far out planners, that's where the schedule release becomes important, because once that day is locked in, then we can start looking at the cities we want to go to. We can start plugging in the hotel arrangements in advance, checking flights. I don't know how far out flights get. Like, when is the sweet spot to book a flight? I don't know. I just know that it's probably somewhere in between the schedule release and then the actual game.
That's when I book all my flights, even if it's for non-NFL stuff. But that's my window. It's like when you're Christmas shopping, there's a certain window for it. I book all my flights basically from May 15th until, I don't know, September 30th. That's flight booking season for me, Brandon. And by the way, where would you peg me? Am I a planner? Am I just grab the knapsack later and go? Where would you put me on that spectrum?
The hardcore end of planner. Like, if you could start, if you could have already started making plans for the 2025 season, you would have begun doing so, because I know that even just based off of opponents, Clinton, you have in mind, like, this is the city I want to go to. I just need to know when I'm going there, and the actual date now is the thing that it could tank it, or it could highlight it.
Yeah, so I think we're going to look at all of that. We're going to look at the opponents. We're going to look at the cities we could be going to. We're going to look at the quarterbacks we're going to be playing. We're going to look at, we don't think there's an international game at this point, but we're going to just do a preview, a scan, if you will, Brandon, of our upcoming 2025 season. And since I said the magic word scan, we got to talk about Body Spec. Body Spec is our sponsor. Of course, we love them. If you're ready to kickstart your fitness journey, like athletes like Brandon and I, or you're just getting back in shape, Body Spec has you covered. For less than the price of a haircut, you can access DEXA scans, the world's most accurate body composition scan. Body Spec DEXA scans focus on the numbers that actually matter. You're seeing them on screen right now. Your body composition, bone density, your overall health metrics. It's a powerful way to take charge of your well-being and know what's actually happening with that body of yours. You want to truly understand this? Well, right now we're offering an exclusive Flockers discount, $10 off on single scans. Just use the code SHP at checkout. It's a great gift for you or a gift for your loved ones. Bodyspec.com/C-Hawkers, bodyspec.com/C-Hawkers, or hit the QR code on screen. Get the DEXA scan today. Hit that QR code. Hook up with Body Spec. They're a great partner of ours. And Brandon, you are a great partner, of course. You're a great partner of mine. You're a good travel buddy. I've traveled with you enough now to, I would say enough bespoke places that you're a good travel buddy. In fact, heck, you and I slipped on a boat. So there's that.
What can go wrong when you have a travel buddy that you can shack up with on a boat and then, almost get to the point of engagement? It's you've locked in a good travel buddy then.
We really did. It was a great time. Okay, so
of the away places,
yes.
Where can we go and stay on a boat?
Yeah, oh, that's a nice little area right there, right? That's a good way to zoom in. So why don't we put that on screen to see, well, first and foremost, who the heck are we playing? If you want to start with some away stuff, Brandon, the nice part is we
Yeah.
have 9 away opponents as opposed to 8 home opponents. And before we look at where we could shack up on a boat, remind me, Brandon, were we better on the road last year as a team or at home as a team last year?
I feel like we've been better on the road as a team for years now, which is confounding to,
Mm.
I don't know, the 20 the 2000s fan in me that watched a lot of Mike Holmgren football, where it seemed like anytime we were playing in Seattle, it didn't matter if we were playing a really good team or a really bad team. It was just we were at home, so we were going to win. And now it's changed.
It has, and hopefully starts to change back. I know a lot of folks last year in particular were talking about just that loss of home field advantage, but then like the literal loss because there were so many away fans packing Lumen Stadium. Did you see the news the Seahawks put out? Basically looking to curb folks' ability to sell their tickets and maybe a little bit of punishment if they do sell the majority of the tickets.
Interesting. No, I have not seen this news. What is this you speak of?
Yeah, so some news from the Shire. Seahawks put out kind of a newslettery thing to ticket holders, and you being a ticket holder with the Seahawkers Pod tickets, you probably have it in your inbox. Basically, it was like, hey, it was at the bottom of it, but it was
Oh,
evident. It was like, "Hey, we're gonna monitor you this year, and if we are to find that you're selling the majority of your tickets," I'm paraphrasing, and I'm not a lawyer, but if you are to sell the majority of your tickets, you may be booted and somebody else allowed in, essentially. So they're just starting to lay down the rules. It was a little bit, frankly, a little fuzzy. I think it's gonna cause a little bit more of a maybe a slight bit confusion, but I also think it was just maybe the presence of a you might get in trouble now if you pawn off all your tickets. What do you think about that move in general from the Seahawks? They seem to listen, but is it a move that you think is good?
I think that this is something that they've done in general. I can remember a few years back when they did a purge of people were who were tending to be more resellers than game goers, and I think that maybe that's what they're leaning toward here. Because yeah, as I look at the language, it doesn't seem too different from what I remember seeing in the past,
Mm,
and I think
interesting.
that's the part of it is that they they want people who have season tickets. Yeah, if you can't make it to a game, you need to be able to throw them up on there and say, "Hey, I'm not going to make this one." Some of us have friends that we know that will take
Sure.
our tickets or will buy the tickets if the games come up. But yeah, if I the problem is if you're buying the tickets simply to jack up the prices and resell every single game and
Right.
where you're just making money off the tickets. That part of it, I could see them wanting to try and get away from for the most part, or at least only give that out to people who are specific partners that are in with the team.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be a free market capitalist on most things. It's like, hey, go make your money. And with that, I also think some regulation that's like to do what you just said or prevent that so that the stadium's not 55% Packers fans. Well, that's good. A home field advantage should actually be a home field advantage. So if there's, a little bit of arm barring you got to do to make it happen, Brandon. Yeah, hate to say the ends justify the means in this one, but I'd like to see Lumen packed with Seahawks fans.
Oh yeah.
And we got our 8 games here. I'd like to see us have like a legit home field advantage again,
Oh sure.
because it's kind of special when that's the case.
It's just not 100% though, because I think what a lot of fans in general may end up doing is they look at the schedule and go, okay, which one of these teams is one, a solid playoff team? And let's start
Mhm.
there with the
Yeah.
home opponents. Which one of these teams is a solid playoff team that the prices are most likely to go up because they have a lot of fans that travel? When I look at the home opponents of Cardinals,
Mm.
Rams, Niners, division games, I guess we tend to see some Niners fans of majority, I guess, if it is a division rival, it's probably going to be Niners fans would be the most likely to travel. But then Texans, Colts, Saints, Bucks, Vikings. If I had to guess, I'd probably pick Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings, I think, traveled pretty well in general. But I think the other caveat there, the big caveat is likely playoff teams. And now, yes, the Vikings went 14-3, so we could start looking at the opponents in this way. Texans made the playoffs, a bit of a step back, but then they won a playoff game. So do they kind of find their groove again in year 3? We'll see. The Buccaneers kind of outperformed last year. I'm just going through the teams that were playoff teams last year for sure. If I'm in the Gulf of Florida there, yeah, maybe I want to take a really fun trip if it's early enough in the season. But if it's like a November game, I'm not leaving. Nobody down there's leaving Florida to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Seattle in late
Yeah, in
November.
November or
They're not
December,
doing
right?
that. They're not doing that. If it's September, yeah, you could see a good amount of people making the cross country trip. Honestly, besides that, I don't see playoff teams. And when you say like solid playoff teams, all right, somebody's got to win the NFC West, sure, but that somebody could be us. The Rams are pretty good, I think. I don't know about our other two teams. Texans should be a playoff team, but maybe by default in their division. I don't know about the Vikings, Brandon, and the Buccaneers should be a playoff team. The others, I don't see a lot of. I don't think it's a super high level bar of competition coming
Right.
to the PNW this year.
Yeah, like you said, if the Bucks are early season, then that might be one, but that's still a long flight. If I'm a Bucks
Yes,
fan, I'm probably finding some other game that's closer to travel to. It's just that's a long flight.
it
Uh,
is. Seattle's a cool city. Seattle is a destination NFL city, though, for sure. The people are like, I want to go see Seattle, but still, you can't cheat the map. It's it's like 7 hours to go from the South Florida to the Pacific Northwest. You're not only going east to west and back, but you're also, going a lot north and south. It is not. It's just
And
not
it is
short.
important to remember too, it's not just Bucks fans in Florida that are coming. It's,
True.
what
True.
city is the closest to where I live that I might be a fan that I can easily get to. So like Buffalo, when we played Buffalo last year, there are a lot of Bills fans that came to the game. Were
Yeah.
they all from New York? Probably not. They were probably just Bills fans that are throughout the country that maybe that was the easiest game to get to. And because there's a lot of them, that's how they end up congregating in our city.
Yeah, well, good point there because the Bills have gotten good and they've become a bit more popular, right? So, well, with those other home opponents, Brandon, anybody else? I mean, look at that row of 8 teams. Do any of them make you, shaking your boots? There's no Bills sitting here, is there?
No, there isn't. The Rams are probably the one team with them having been a playoff team. The Vikings, it kind of that's one that I look at as maybe the timing mattering some.
Mm,
Because if JJ McCarthy takes over as a rookie early in the season Vikings, that might be a lot more appealing than later in the season Vikings because rookie quarterbacks early on tend to be the one it's the time to face them. Think about Bo Nix last
yes.
year and the Broncos. Early on, it benefited our team playing the Broncos early rather than late. They started to gel a little bit more. Bo Nix got more comfortable. I think that would have been a tougher game later in the season.
100%. I think that is looking at the top 8, and this is a topic we wanted to make sure we got onto was which ones do we want early? That's the number one answer off the board for me is like get JJ McCarthy and the Vikings, and maybe it's JJ. He's still got to be okay from his knee, get back in a groove. I think it's his position to lose, but you just never know. That to me is one of them. And then maybe with the Derek Carr news as of today, we're recording this on Saturday. Derek Carr saying he's retiring, and so it might be Spencer Rattler, it might be Tyler Shuck. I don't think it's going to be Hayner at all. Either way, again, another opportunity for extremely, I was going to say young, but Tyler Shuck is kind of old, but a rookie or rookie-ish quarterback to have
Yeah.
to come play in a violent place. That be another one that feels early season Broncos to me. Um, Vikings is more interesting though, I think, because I think the Vikings are a better team and therefore could have that kind of Broncos trajectory and be a playoff team. The
Right.
Saints, I think, I'm not so sure it's gonna matter when we play the Saints. And them being a dome team from the South, if they're like here like December 10th, I don't know. Good luck, right?
That does feel like a team that you might wanna face later just for that reason in particular.
Yeah.
Um, Colts, similar quarterback questions with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, but, also, I don't know if it necessarily matters. Both of those guys are veterans. It's just how the team's gonna look, I think, with those 2 behind center. They just have to decide.
Yeah, who's it going to be? It's just interesting. So if there's that tumult early in the season and it's just not figured out yet, I
That
think
tumult can
that
come anywhere in the season based off what we saw last year with the
well,
Colts.
that's for sure. But what if we are the team to cause further tumult? Like it's week 2, and then it's like, oh God, it's not Richardson, and we cause that.
That'd be fun.
That'd be pretty good too. I think the other sneaky one that might be beneficial earlier in the year is the Texans because their O-line is, they trade away Tunsil
Mhm,
to the Commanders. They actually kind of ignored O-line until a bit later in the draft, loaded up on every wide receiver I loved. So that was cool. But they just might be like, we don't know how to play without our left tackle yet. And who is their new left tackle? And that could be a problem week 1, week 2. So that's one that I would sneak into the category. If I'm moving the Saints back, because I don't think it matters,
mhm.
Vikings, Texans, I would like to see kind of loaded towards the front. That'd be, I think, better.
Well, before we get to some of our away opponents, I thought I'd talk about our NFC division rivals,
Sure.
kind of all together because you you end up facing them twice, and so sometimes they're early in the year, sometimes they're backloaded, and you never really know exactly how the schedule is gonna work out. It was interesting to me going and looking at some of the times that we've and records versus opponents, and we very rarely have the Cardinals early in the season, which
Hmm.
I thought was kind of curious, at least as of the last, because I looked at Shanahan's time with the Niners, I looked at McVay's time with the Rams, and then I looked, because there have been so many coaches in Arizona, I just did the Kyler Murray span, since that gave us a little bit, longer of a time frame to compare. And one of the things that I'd say about facing off against the 49ers, um, is that generally they start off slow and they finish a little bit stronger. And if you go at, their record before the bye week versus record after the bye week, just under Kyle Shanahan, they're 25 and 37
Wow.
for their bye week. And then they're 45 and 25 after the bye week.
That's some compelling, rich data right there, man. Good find. I was my brain and my heart was like, ooh, I would love to kind of put the Niners in their place early. And that was before you said what you said. And I don't mean it's probably not week 1. Who knows? We'll see what happens on Wednesday when it comes out. But I really wouldn't mind like a Niners game within the first 4 to 5 weeks. And it's just our defense is real and Brock Purdy can't handle our defensive line and we kind of make him look like, the goodish quarterback he is who throws up his Purdy turdies. That would be a lot of fun, Brandon. It would be really cool to kind of put the 49ers right back into the like, Vegas says you're a 10.5 win team, though you won 6 last year, and we just beat you by 17, and now you're 2-3. That combination feels really good to me, Brandon.
Well, if you're facing them early, then the location could be very dependent on where you want them because facing off in September, the home team wins. So wherever the game ends up, the home team has won in September and since 2017.
Okay.
In October, the visiting team wins. So it doesn't necessarily matter the location. It's just that that's how it's worked out since 2017. you go later in the year, and November's been the sweet spot for playing the Niners because the Seahawks are 3-1 since 2017. December has been the unsweet spot. They haven't
Wow.
won in San Francisco since 2003.
Wow, some good data points there. And when we start thinking of November, of course, I don't think it'll be this year, just because the both teams are not. They're just not what they used to be. Let's be fair. I think Seattle's on the come up, and I actually think the Niners are not. But it harkens back to those Thanksgiving games, right? And just that being a kind of a big deal right around Thanksgiving, and we've kind of gone blow for blow. Um, but okay, all right. So if I had my druthers, it'd be an away game in very early October. How about that?
Yes, because that would tend to be a win based off of history.
I like that. That's what I want. I want it to be like week 5.
Or like a home game kickoff against the Niners.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually a fun little question for you. Would you prefer, so week 1, let's assume, doesn't matter, home opener, whatever,
Mhm.
week 1 or week 2, home opener. Do you like a rival for home opener, or are you okay with, hey, the home opener's got enough juice. I don't need a rival to doesn't have to be a rival. What would you prefer?
I actually it would kind of depend on the opponent. I would hate to waste a home opener against the Cardinals, but I would like it against the Rams or the Niners for the extra juice, and then
Mm,
that extra, like, you win that game, you get your home opener, and you're also up on them 1 game in the division.
mhm. I like all that. That sounds that's a fun answer. I think I tend to be like, I don't need the rival juice week 1, but if I get it, I look at it the way you just looked at it. It's like it could be extra bonusy, and if we could beat the Rams or Niners, that's a lot of fun. Of course, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago now, we thought we were getting a disheveled Rams team, and we got our butts kicked that first week, and that's the flip side of that coin, right? You play a rival and you don't show up, and it really kind of, it puts the it puts the season on it could put the season on some early skids, and that ended up being Pete's last year, but
Right. Yep.
that first game was rough.
And that was the only time since 2017 that we've played the Rams in September. So, that's only happened once since Coach McVay took over. We haven't played in LA in September since 2016. So,
Mm,
um, yeah, it's interesting that those generally don't happen early. The Rams also tend to be the team that we struggle against the most. We're 6-11 with Sean McVay as head coach. And then October's been split 2-2. November, haven't beaten the Rams in November, home or away, since 2011, back when they're in St. Louis. 2-3 in December, and then January has actually been the best time because, well, last year I think we were playing against backups, and then a couple seasons ago when Baker was in, when
mhm.
the Rams were, I think, coming into the game 4-12. Um, those are the 2 wins that we've had in January against the Rams.
Yikes. That's not great. Not the kind you want to either bank on, right? It's like, you don't want those kind of games if you could avoid them. Well, how about our away opponents if we're gonna do the same exercise?
We're
Some
just gonna gloss over the Cardinals?
Yeah. I think so.
I think
Like
that's too bad because I went, rather than going before the bye week and after the bye week with the Cardinals, I was curious with Kyler Murray as QB. Um, I looked at pre-Call of Duty release versus post-Call of Duty release and our records against him.
and
But if you
is
don't
that
wanna hear that, that's fine.
well, I mean, color me intrigued, but that's absolutely hysterical. If you have the data, great. Let's hear it. If not, if that's wonderful.
I was hoping
I
that there would be, like, a really cool stat, like, that we're much better against Kyler Murray,
Right. Yeah,
post Call of Duty versus pre-Call of Duty release. It turns out to be exactly even. We're
that's
3
funny.
wins, 1 loss, so 750 percentage-wise. Uh, we tend not to play them early, and then after
Mm.
Call of Duty comes out, also 6-8, so just double the games, equal result.
6 and 8 though, you said. Is that right?
Oh,
Or 6
6
and
of
2?
8.
6 of 8,
So
6 and
6
2.
and 2.
Okay. Gotcha. So we just beat the Cardinals a lot. That
Yeah.
that part checks out. Yeah. And again, quickly, I think the Cardinals will again be better than last year. Are they ready? I think they got a bunch of when they go out and get Josh Sweat. They got
You don't need
Campbell
to go
back.
that deep into it. We can move on.
It's not deep. I think they added veterans that are worthy, but are they good yet? I
Not
don't
that
know.
worried about the Cardinals yet.
I'm not that worried about the Cardinals. I'm just not. So how about away opponents? Still sticking with that we'd rather play earlier than later. Again, look, I mean, we got our division, which is fine. We're talking about the Cardinals being fine. I think the Niners are on the downside, and the Rams are pretty good. Fine. With an aging quarterback who wasn't great at points during the regular season, who actually played, tip in the hat, played a good in the postseason. All right. See some up and coming teams, but Panthers, Jaguars, Titans, Steelers, before we get to what I think is a better team at the Falcons, and then NFC Championship. They were in the game, the Commanders. Brandon, we're not talking about the 23 Yankees here, man.
No, and when it comes to a lot of these away opponents, when I'm looking at ones that I am rooting for to be early, it does tend to be weather dependent.
Hmm.
I want Steelers and Commanders early because I don't wanna be, uh, playing in the snow. I don't wanna be playing on that terrible Commanders field
Mhm.
in, December
FedEx, yeah, it's
when
garbage.
it's just trashed. And the Steelers at least have a decent field, but, um, if I were to wanna go to that game, I'd want some decent weather for it. I November, December, definitely not December, but that's probably a game that if I had to predict, it's probably gonna be a December game.
That game feels so December-y, doesn't it? It just feels like that game's got Thursday Night Football written all over it, like December 6th, Thursday night. I'm not sure if that's a Thursday. Um, it just doesn't feel like the NFL would be like, "Okay, you're gonna come to Pittsburgh, and it's gonna be a polite 68 degrees with a little bit of brute." No, I feel that too, maybe just because it's Pittsburgh, and that's just the way Pittsburgh makes you feel. But I would bet the rent that it's gonna be something at least, around or post Thanksgiving or later, which it gets cold in them parts. So
Yeah,
how
those
about
are when you want the Panthers and Jaguars games.
y for true, but what about the quarterbacks? Like, meaning for the Panthers, Bryce Young played pretty well down the stretch. So just
Mhm.
with them quickly, would you rather face Bryce Young early? Usually the end of the season is pretty indicative of can you pick it back up and can you pick it up where you left off. Bryce Young actually played pretty good football the last 6, 7 weeks. What do you think? Is it get him early? Maybe it was a fluke, or I don't know, roll the dice that maybe it was a fluke and you're catching him on the downside. What do you think is better?
I think I would still stick with weather on that one. I don't know if I've seen enough of Bryce Young to say if he's a Kyler Murray or like anti-Kyler to where he comes on late in the season. I would have to see another year of that before I start worrying about if he's a guy that tends to turn it on late in the season.
Okay, fair enough. Weather's fine for me on that one too. And then same with the Jags with Trevor Lawrence and company. That one
I don't want that game early. I don't want that to be like a September game because
too hot.
September in Florida is too hot.
It's too hot in the hot tub. Yeah, yeah, you could be. It's not going to be Miami because just it's up
It's
the coast
close.
of it, but it's still south. it's still below Georgia, so yeah, it's still pretty darn. It can be pretty darn warm. Okay. All right, so you want those to have better weather days. So, of the ones that are away opponents, who do you want? You said Steelers, which
Mhm.
is not going to happen. Are there others that you're like you'd prefer? I mean, is Cam Ward simply give us the Bo Nix treatment? Give us Titans early.
That one would be alright. Yeah. I I don't know if I'm that high on Cam Ward to where I'm concerned quite yet, but I would expect him to be thrown out there pretty early. Yeah, I'd put Titans in the I would prefer that earlier than later category.
Mm, okay, I think so too. I think it's Bo Nix ish that I'm not sure the Titans have the team the Broncos did and do.
No,
In
they
fact,
don't.
I don't think they have that team. But could I
So
see
their
Cam Ward
defense is
being
solid though.
right? They are, and could I see Cam Ward being better and making games competitive down the stretch? I kind of could. So okay, and the Titans have given us some fits at stupid points of our tenure too, when like we should have beat them and they're just like hanging around. So kind of a gross team. However, a really fun city, which we could talk about cities, I think, in a bit. And then what about the Falcons, man? Where are you on Penix in general? Talking about QBs, right? So here again, not murderer's row in terms of QBs. Steelers don't even have a QB. And the other dudes we've already talked about, but then you got Penix and you got Daniels with the Commanders. Does it matter when we play either of these teams? I mean, what do you think about the Falcons?
Yeah, the one wild card with the quarterbacks would be Steelers and Aaron Rodgers potentially, but between Commanders, Falcons, obviously that the Commanders is the top quarterback on the board.
Yeah.
I guess unless you want to put Stafford up there, but
No, I mean
outside of the
Stafford's
division,
good,
maybe.
but I think Daniels at this point, I think he showed enough in year one that he's just different. That's a you have to
Multiple ways that you have to account for him on defense. You don't have to worry about Stafford running. Um,
correct.
Falcons, though, yeah, Penix, we haven't really seen a lot of him, and what type of quarterback he is, right? I mean, we have an idea based off of his time at UW. You have a little bit of last season where he flashed, but I don't know, that might be another earlier is better type thing, but he's had enough time under his belt to where I don't count on that the way I do like with Cam Ward and the Titans.
This one's this one's actually the most difficult for me to most of them I'm like, "Oh, I'd rather have this early," or "I'd rather have that late." It's, like, pretty clear to me.
I'd rather have it late to know that if we need to lose to them in the regular season, so that way they have a better record, to then have the Rams have a worse draft pick. That's what I need to be rooting for, or at least be okay with, because I'm not going to root for a loss to the Falcons. But if it's late in the season, then I can go, oh, okay, well, at least the draft pick for the Rams just got a little bit worse.
I do like that. I like that copium that you're, inflating there. I do for me, I think Penix is quite good. I think he's and this is not just UW and being biased because I'm a Seahawks fan, so I, watched UW a little bit. This was me watching the Falcons down the stretch and being like, oh, literally whenever Penix wants to throw an 18-yard out to Drake London, he can. Like it was clockwork. Remember Drake London before this year was kind of busty, bubbly. It was like on the bubble of is he really worth what they got him for? And then lo and behold, just like with Terry McLaurin, lo and behold, a good quarterback comes to town. Drake London was really good, and he's running digs and he's running 15 and 17-yard outs. And Penix is just on the money. Like whenever he wants it, I'm like, damn, this is making like the NFL, those NFL throws, right? That you're like, can he make those throws? Yeah, Penix can make those throws. Little bit of inaccuracy, but even that got tighter in the short span. A little bit of he could use a little more touch, but those are types of things I think you get a little more experience and they come along with it. So I'm not sure there's a good answer to when to play the Falcons. I think they're pretty
Yeah,
good.
well, he finished off the season the last 3 games, so
Yeah.
he's a total of 1 and 2 with his 1 win coming against the Giants last year.
Yeah, but he tied that game. Remember that last game where they still had playoff hopes
Oh, yeah.
and he
Against Washington, that game
right.
was
He drove
incredible.
him down the field and got the last second touchdown. So, that's he did what he had to do from a quarterback perspective, right? So, in that small sample, he showed me enough. And then there's the Commanders, Brandon. You said earlier, hey, let's not play him too late. The only thing I maybe would say is, well, if it's like a December game and it's a little sloppy out there, does that actually hurt Jaden Daniels some? And is that potentially a benefit?
it slows the Commanders down more potentially. I don't know. If you look at how the Commanders played last season,
Really good.
it didn't seem like they got slowed down at all, winning their last 5 games of the season.
Yeah, they kind of charged into the playoffs and then played really good in the playoffs until they played a better team on the Eagles, and the better team won. But yeah, that one's just simply going to be of the entire board. I think Daniels is the the hardest quarterback to worry about for sure. I think Stafford is probably second. If
Mhm.
I'm looking pretty quick. And then I think there's a kind of a next tier. You might put Stroud up there. Um, and then Mayfield
Yeah,
and Penix for me are the ones that kind of get lumped next.
yeah,
And Purdy,
Purdy's in there, yeah.
yeah, Purdy's pretty good too. But again, and after that, it's like it's a big crapshoot, man.
Yeah.
Compared to last year, we played, I think, a lot better uh, consistent quarterbacks last year. We got lucky earlier in the year when we caught the Patriots and then caught, oh geez, Brandon, who played quarterback for the Dolphins? Like, oh, Skylar Thompson.
Was it Skyler?
Yeah. It wasn't Tua because Tua had problems.
Right.
So we ended up with Bo Nix, game one where they didn't really let him do anything. And plus we played pretty good. And then we had Jacoby Brissett before Drake May, and then we had Skylar Thompson. So we were off the hook. We were 3-0, and we had a very easy start. But then it kind of caught up to us. This year, I don't know, man. I see a lot of openings where we're playing medium to lower third quarterbacks in the NFL. That bodes pretty good for us, I think.
Well, you could end up with that similar type of start, right? If you go,
Ooh,
Colts, Titans, Saints in the first 3 games, it could end up being the easy quarterbacks out of the way early.
yeah, that would look, W's are W's, right? So if you could stack them up early, let's get at it. That's totally good by me. Well, I guess the only other thing we haven't talked about yet is cities. And maybe that's a good place to land it. We won't know until Wednesday what the dates are, except for some leaks that I'm sure will come out. But as it stands right now, um, which which team would you which team would you want to go see on the road? And I'll give you two portions of the answer. Which city would you most like to go hang out in with a bunch of 12s? And then
Mhm.
what team do you think would be the most fun to go play on the road?
The team most fu if I'm looking at the one that's, the most fun, um, I guess I've never seen Seattle play, the Arizona Cardinals in that stadium.
Me
If
neither.
I'm gonna spend the money to go on the road, I wanna bank a dub, I go Cardinals.
And it looks like a cool stadium, right? They do the whole grass that comes out on the train track thingy.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. It gets a lot of Seahawks fans. We know
right.
that, right?
Yeah.
So we travel extremely well to that game. I've only been to Phoenix once. It was for like a corporate business event. It was cool, but it was kind of outside of downtown, and it was at like a resorty thing. It was cool, but I didn't get I would say like a real Phoenix experience. So I
Mm.
would I would be very much into getting my butt out to Arizona to check that out. I think that's a good call, dude.
It's the easiest one for me to travel to. The cities that I'd be most interested in visiting, though, would probably be, um, I would say Nashville, Pittsburgh, and bordering on maybe Atlanta.
I like all those choices. The last one, again, for a work event, I was in Atlanta and I got jumped. So I don't need to go back to Atlanta. So I wasn't jumped at the work event. I decided after the event was over that I was going to go have a couple beers because I like to, if I'm out traveling for work, I'm like, I want to see the city and I'm kind of a social creature. So I walked down to a local pub and then on the way back to whatever we were at, like a Hyatt or Marriott, I got surrounded by like 4 dudes who tried to mug me.
Oh,
And
gee.
yeah, like literally tried to jump me. And I just, I got out of it and it was around the corner from the hotel. So I was able to get in the lobby, but that was uncomfortable. I didn't like that one bit. So, if we go, let's put it this way, Brandon. If we go to Atlanta, I need like a buddy. That's what it comes down to. I need a buddy to team up with.
Yeah.
Walk
Who
around.
are our other military Seahawkers that we can invite to that one and provide some personal security for?
Yeah, I need something there. I would say the Commanders is interesting. Hate the field. Excited that they're going to move the team.
It's a
Actually,
tough stadium to try and get to from DC too.
I just city wise, I like Washington D.C. I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for the history. I'm a sucker for the architecture. Great restaurants.
I hate to
Uh,
break it to you. FedEx Field is not in DC.
yeah, it's what is it in Virginia proper, right?
Andover, Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland. Jeez Louise. All right. Screw that. I'm out. For that reason, I'm out. I'm with you on the others. I have not been to Nashville yet. I can't believe it. I don't know why. At 47 years old, I haven't gotten to Nashville, but I haven't. So that would be probably number one for me would be Nashville. Pittsburgh, very cool city. I've been on Carnegie Mellon campus and walked around and just that's a fun city, a really good sports city too, and good
Well, we
passionate
know that that's
fans.
going to be in December, so it's like scratch that one off the list already.
All right, so basically Nashville. This is what I'm left with. That's it.
Clinton hasn't been jumped there. It's not Florida weather, and the Carolina Panthers. Who cares?
And it's actually in the state where they play or the district where they actually play,
Right.
right? Okay. And then of course we did say the Cardinals. I would like to get to that
Okay.
as well. So okay. Well, that was fun, man. I'm very excited for this. I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific for the schedule release on Wednesday. And I think our plan is to watch it live and start to make some plans. So planning
This
to
is how
plan.
you know. This is how you know Clinton is a planner. He wants to watch it live and start to fill in his calendar. He's probably going to be looking up plane tickets. As we watch it live, he's probably going to be booking hotels. That's when it's going to happen. And when we end up in Nashville, is there a lake that we can find a boat to stay on? I hope so.
And with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
go Hawks.
Go Hawks.